Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Chuck, for joining us today and providing us up with an update on the WAS redevelopment area of the former Wausau Center Mall.
You bet. Pleasure to be here again and share some information where we are in the project, and so we'll look forward to it.
Definitely. Yes, our businesses are very excited about what's happening there and very curious. So to get us started today, how about we just do a little bit of an overview of what has happened over the last year?
Sure. And it's been the last 2 years.
Yep, that's true.
It was basically in February of 2020 that the mall was purchased. And through the course of time here over the last couple of years, much has been happening. Obviously, on May 19th of 2021, we started the demolition. Quite a bit that led up to that, quite a bit of work in terms of developing the plan, working with our consultants and so forth, developing this mixed use type of development that we've seen.
Yep.
And that seems to be very well received and being advanced, and we can talk about that a little bit. And so in the midst of that, we were also going through our work with the green team of the DNR. They've been extremely cooperative. It's worked out very well, and we're expecting that we'll have closure on that site probably within a few weeks.
Wonderful.
So that kind of gets us going in terms of being able to start our projects. We've been working with the city relative to what is known as the plat.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the process of creating our streets. And those streets will be expanded: Washington Street, 3rd Street, Jackson Street, 2nd Street. So, and that work has been going very well with the city. The city's teams have been collaborating with TOOL in an overall portion of the plan, in the TOOL plan, which also includes changing our one-ways to two-ways, some exciting street work that's being done in that area. So the process is moving forward. I think in terms of some of the immediate things that we'll be seeing is we're going to continue to work with the city on the design of the streets, continue to work with T-Wall Enterprises on the first 2 buildings, if you would. We can talk about that.
Yes, definitely.
As to what that is. We continue to do design work on our pedestrian bridge, which will connect us, if you would, to the North Riverfront, South Riverfront, I should say, and the North. Both. So a variety of things that continue to move forward. And outside of what we're doing, just in the mall project as well, there's exciting things that are happening in our downtown.
It's been wonderful. I can say downtown, we had some concerns, of course, because of the pandemic, but we've really bounced back and been so strong downtown. And you mentioned the Washington Street as far as changing up the one-way traffic.
Yeah.
I know that our businesses are very excited about that, but then I know that we keep getting questions about, is the parking on Washington Street, is that going to stay?
Well, we created about 40 new parks there,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out very well. It was minimum expense that we invested in that, as a community, and very well received. So moving forward, if we talk the bigger picture of parking, which we've always talked, we have some good things that are happening out of the mall redevelopment. We're continuing to have almost 1,000 parks in what we've called the Sears ramp. We'll have another 600 parks, in the Penny's ramp. Those will be staying in the package, if you would, and even become even more accessible when you open up the ramp, if you would, from the north. The Penny's ramp will have its stair corridor and its elevator that'll come right up into the Green Forum, and from the Green Forum you can access 3rd Street. You can go across the pedestrian bridge. So that parking is continues to be a wonderful thing, and You know, when we developed it 40 years ago, you know, I don't know if we ever thought, obviously, what this was going to become. But if you look at what we have there, if we had to replace that parking today, Blake, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $40 million.
We're really lucky to have those parking
We are.
structures.
We are.
You know, it's kind of interesting, you know, when the mall was constructed, those were perfectly positioned, but as time progressed,
Yeah.
at the end it was kind of most like a fortress, kind of a barrier to us
Yeah.
for that additional parking. So
Yeah.
it's great to see that our patrons of downtown will have more accessible parking options in
Yeah.
Banff's downtown.
So back to the street parking.
Yeah.
I think the good news on the street parking is that if you talk to anybody, and if you talk to consultants, and if you obviously talk to our stakeholders, you know, it's nice to come and to be able to park in front of where you want to, you know, kind of go in and go out.
Yeah.
If it's a quick trip or if it's an hour or whatever. So as we're looking at the redevelopment of the mall, long term, first of all, the tool plan in its design right now is looking at somewhere around 150 new street parks.
Okay.
So one of the things that has come out of the development of the street plan with Wausau Opportunity Zone is that the desire of CISM has been to increase the width of the streets from typically 60 feet or 66 feet up to 78 feet. So now we're designing streets, the city's designing them and with input in a 78-foot corridor. And what that is giving us is opportunity for parking, opportunity for shared lanes with bicycles, opportunity for wider sidewalks that can serve as outside dining areas and so forth. And so that's pretty exciting. You know, when you look at that, just in terms of a few numbers here, we were looking at somewhere around 95,000 square feet would be dedicated into those streets, Washington 3rd, Jackson, and 2nd, of 327,000 square feet that we have in the mall in the Sears area. When we went to 78 feet in width, okay, actually 40% of the mall site, Sears and the mall site, 40% of the land will go back to our community in terms of forming streets. And so that's quite a package.
It really is. You know, I was just about to ask why. You know, why are we doing wider streets? But you already answered that. You know, that adds more parking, pedestrian space, sidewalk cafe space,
Yep.
Bicycle lanes potentially.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And then all the connectivity, so pedestrians can safely travel from location to location.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the mindset of today's developments in the downtown, that mindset is that we're really, first of all, pedestrian orientated.
Yes.
You know, whether it be the shopper, whether it be the walker, whether it be the bicyclist, but there's some convenience that comes through parking as well. So even in terms of the street designs, you know, they're looking that it would be somewhat curbless, not totally curbless, but in terms of being able to be approached differently than where you have a 6-foot curb and so forth. So the orientation in today's world moving forward in our downtowns is not that we forget about bus traffic and pedestrian cars and et cetera, but we really orientate ourselves more towards the pedestrian. And that goes all the way along the river, that goes along 3rd Street, wherever it is. And I think what we'll see in this orientation will be very nice. And streetscape, I mean, people like green, you know, we like trees, we like good aesthetics in our buildings, all of those things. And so, anyway, parking is being addressed. I think we'll be successful on creating probably about 150 new spots in that scenario. Streets that are going to be very pedestrian orientated, pedestrian friendly, and then our connection with those streets and that traffic, that pedestrian traffic that feels very comfortable in terms of getting out to our riverfronts and so forth. And guys like you who want to live downtown and do those type of things, I mean, that's crucial. You want to walk to your restaurants, you want to walk to your pubs, you want to walk to your coffee shops, you want to go for your run, your bikes, and so forth. And so as we compete with other cities, as we are doing, we're in a street fight.
We truly are.
Yeah.
This totally reminds me of what we talk about on Main Street as far as a philosophy of design is the 880 approach. I'm not sure if you've heard of this, but if we design a downtown that's both meeting the needs of an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old, we are winning as far as the downtown goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, naturally, we have a lot of aesthetics already in position, to be able to really raise that a little bit, accomplish what you just mentioned. And I think we're going to have a great downtown for the next 50 years or more, hopefully.
Hopefully more.
Yeah.
So that very exciting. So looking into like the future here, we just talked about the streets being implemented.
Yeah.
What's the project timeline for integrating the street design?
Okay. We have to first of all realize that we're going to be in a construction zone for a while. Okay,
of course.
This is not going to happen overnight. And the collaboration on the streets with the city and with the designers, the engineers, and so forth is really going to be in 2 steps. And so those 2 steps are going to be, first of all, to create what we're calling temporary streets. And what temporary streets means is that this year, 2022, first part of 2023, those streets will be dedicated over to the city.
Okay.
The city will be doing their engineering work, which will put utilities, stormwater management, those type of things in place. And so that's has to be a bit understood. We aren't going to invest millions of dollars in our finished streetscapes before our buildings, get built. And we're now able to marry our streets, our finished streets up. So there will be a time lag between those finished streets and the temporary streets. But the temporary streets will be such in a 78-foot width that we should be able to continue traffic at the same time as we are constructing. We should be able to create new parking similar to what we have seen on Washington Street. A little bit of that on 3rd, the new 3rd, and Jackson, and the new 2nd Street. So we need to create that temporary parking, temporary streets. We want to be able to serve the existing downtown. People still probably, it's not their first preference to go into a parking structure. We got to figure out something on that, because all we're going to do is get traffic circulating looking for a parking spot. So people have to feel more comfortable coming and going from our parking structures as well as our street parking. But it'll be a 2-stage process. So what will become probably some more temporary parking will occur. We'll have the Children's Imaginarium. We can talk about that a little bit. That'll happen as well, and that will be looking to open in 2023. And so we need to make sure we have some things working for that. So, and in the meantime, as we start our construction on what we call Block 4, corner of Washington and 3rd, and Block 5, which is the extension further to the west, those 2 buildings, and roughly about 300 new apartment units that are being planned there.
That's amazing.
Try to keep the streets open, try to create more parking, and at the same time be able to access Children's Imaginarium and access our construction traffic, and keep everybody excited about the fact that we are in a construction zone and things are not only happening in the mall area but actually in other parts of the downtown. So
they have the saying for a reason: Rome wasn't built in a night.
Yeah.
And all good things are worth the wait.
Yeah. Exactly. But they did get a lot of work done.
They
so
did.
That's
they
what
did.
we hope we're doing.
And lasting work too. So this year we'll be seeing some more utility works starting the process of getting the street grid in, but probably we'll see the actual temporary streets being put in 2023 most likely?
More than likely.
Okay.
Yeah, but some of that will occur in 2022.
Okay.
So the aspect of closure on the site constitutes the fact that we keep a cap in place, okay? And the cap is the existing floor slab.
Yep.
When we remove that, we submit a modification to that closure. And so we will take the cap off, put the utilities in, and recap it. So part of what the program will be is that we'll have that temporary cap, which will be blacktop streets with parking, with pedestrian access and so forth. So that'll be occurring in 22, 23. The Block 4, our projection on Block 4, which is the first 150 units of apartments and retail, starting in October of this year, and being ready for occupancy sometime in October of 2023. So that project, Blake, is moving along very well. WAS has a purchase agreement signed with T-Wall Enterprises for Block 4 and Block 5. Our desire there in terms of getting ahead of that is to work with the architectural design and so forth. And so that's pretty exciting. It's going to be a 5-story building, two of them, two 5-story buildings. They'll house about 150 units each. They'll have full parking underneath, about 130 parks, have access to our parking ramp as well. And it's kind of a variety of apartment units. We have some micros, which you call micros. There's about 15 of those. Those are smaller units for mostly for singles probably.
Yeah.
We have the 1-bedrooms. We have about I think 30 in the 1-bedrooms. We have about 40 in 2-bedrooms. We have another 15 or so in some 3-bedrooms that are off the corners of the building. And so it's shaped like a horseshoe. And then the second horseshoe kind of flips and is on the
So
east.
it's almost like the horseshoes are inward facing towards each other?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so you can imagine the amenities that will be on the interior of that. A lot of outside recreation, looking at a swimming pool. You know, it's our access point to our underground parking, exercise areas that look out onto that. Main entrance will be off of Washington Street. And so we have roughly about 17,000 square feet of small retail that is on 3rd Street and on Washington Street.
Okay.
And so by small retail, I mean for those entrepreneurs and local folks interested in 1,000 or 1,500 or maybe 3,000 square feet. But anyway, the exciting part about that is that we will embrace the coffee shops and the other amenities of retail that interest people to come and walk our streets and shop our streets. And we know we don't have the regionals anymore. There might be 1 or 2 in a small setting. But basically it's going to be a continuation of what we see on 3rd Street now and the success of those folks and what they're doing, and hopefully pick up on that.
It sounds really exciting because it's going to add to the vibrancy of the downtown. Not only that, but here at the River District, we're always advocating for more residential units within a walkable distance.
Yeah.
Especially, we've seen, you know, a decrease in the amount of people working downtown.
Yeah.
So in order for us to have a viable future and continue the vibrant downtown, we need to have more people living here. So that's wonderful. Hundreds of people down here living.
And Blake, it's reverse. And by that I mean it's in reverse of what we thought it was. We thought that if we brought some of our offices downtown, that those offices would stir the residential. But when you don't have any land for the residential, where are you going to put the residential?
Exactly.
And pretty soon the offices leave, okay, because we aren't finding that people are living close to their offices anymore. So in the marketplace today, the first thing to do, create the residential.
Exactly.
And then let the residents drive, okay, the office uses. And our office uses will come back. I mean, it's a hard road with COVID and, you know, the work from home theories and so forth, but I think there's a real sense out there that those offices will come back.
I think so too. You know, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a surge of that happening a little bit right now.
Yeah.
And as you said, things kind of ebbs and flows over the years. And the most important thing with any project is diversifying, because that mitigates our risk.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect time for us to be investing in residential units.
Yeah. any of our competitive set of small cities in America are orientated towards the residential aspect of the downtown. And the residential aspect of the downtown is not affordable housing or market rate housing or senior housing or any of the mindset is available housing. And so we need available housing in all of those areas, you know, and the Gorman Group and the work that they're doing in the Landmark, the project that they're looking at, you know, on the West Side Battery site. Those are all very good things, but the mix of available housing in market rates. I mean, when you look at the micro units, when you look at the single, the 1 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, you're creating a whole new avenue of rental structure. Okay, and so that's the exciting part of what the mall project is looking at.
And I can't tell you how much demand there is. Our office usually fields between 3 and 5 phone calls a week looking for apartments within the downtown area.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we just don't have the inventory or the specific unit that we're looking for. So that's
absolutely
wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and that's what causes people to come here. I mean, literally, when you look at the goals of Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership, and you look at being able to develop talent, keep talent, and innovative companies and so forth, the first thing that people ask is, where am I going to live? Mm-hmm. And for many of those people, you know, those younger folks, those younger couples, it's in the downtown environment. That's where they want to be.
We want to be where the
why
action
wouldn't
is.
you?
Yeah, it's a beautiful downtown, and we want to spend more time here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, just one more thing I wanted to touch base on, unless there's anything else you'd like to talk about as well, is the other projects that are involved in this with the Children's Imaginarium, some changes to home furniture's facade.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little bit of update on
Oh,
those?
absolutely. I mean, Children's Imaginarium, that group, that board, I mean, their efforts and the support that they've received from this community, like many of our projects, are it's phenomenal. And so, if you can picture the home building as we look at it now after the mall is gone, Children's Imaginarium will carve out for Children's Imaginarium about 13,000 square feet in the corner of the building. Okay, that looks out onto the Green Forum. Okay,
so when we're looking at the home furniture, it would be on the right-hand side if we're looking from Washington Street?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so, I mean, the work that they're doing in terms of the displays that they're building and what they're doing, it'll be a marvelous thing for our children, for our community, and for the downtown. I mean, it is, in my opinion, the perfect setting for that. And so, what we're looking at there is that Home will prepare that 13,000 square feet in the first quarter of 2023, and then the interior will be finished, the displays will come in, we'll have our temporary streets in position so children can be dropped off with buses and people can park and go in the ramp and so forth, and I think they'll have a very exciting kickoff to something that's very nice. The home front, which would be the north elevation, needs to be redone. It's part of the upfront grant funding, the $3.5 million that the community has granted to the project. And so right now, without being able to show you drawings, okay, the thought pattern with our architects and our consultants has been that we're going to pick up on much of the aesthetics of what exists in our downtown now.
Okay.
So when you look at 3rd Street and you look at the buildings, the historic character of the buildings, we're looking to create that flavor, if you would, in the new building on Block 4, Block 5, and then also carry that over to the home front. So it'll be somewhat of a mix between a traditional look that we see and a warehouse district type of look, which is a kind of a prominent thing that gives us a lot of flexibility. And so we're looking to tie that architecture to the downtown, add a few characters to it, if you would, and it should end up being pretty spectacular. So anyway, that's where we are there. We've looked at the aspect of our pedestrian bridge that connects us to the South Water Riverfront. I mean, there's some exciting things happening there. You know, the county is committed to vacate those buildings. We're looking at, obviously, the farmers market, that's on the table. Planning and parks are looking at maybe repurposing the Millhouse building from
Gosh, I think that was
the lumberyard. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it the one that was on the corner
Yes.
of Bridge and First Avenue on the west side there?
Yes. Mortensen.
Yes.
Mortensen. A building that was preserved, built in 1883. So, I mean, there's some exciting things that the South Riverfront, the kayak course has made some improvements. We're still looking for a bridge that connects Clark Island, if you would, across the kayak course. And the depot has been purchased by the chamber. Finally, it's going to have, I think, a wonderful home. It started this week for demolition on the inside, keeping the historic flavors of the inside, and hopefully the chamber will be in its new offices by the end of the year. Plenty of support needed, and the chamber has, the board has been phenomenal in terms of advancing things. The powerhouse demolition on the interior is starting in a week or so. It's being repurposed. The chamber has it under lease for the next 40 years, and it will look towards being an innovation type of center.
Okay.
And so the chamber will be announcing some of the purposes that'll be going in there, but it would be exciting that we would have probably about half that space repurposed by the end of the year, with some very good programs that will be housed there. And so Clark Island is going to become redone in terms of its true historic flavor, and it'll be an exciting time. Again, if you look at communities that have been successful in their downtowns, they're successful because they do embrace the historic and preserve the historic the best that we can. We've lost some of that. We can't lose any more.
No, we cannot.
And so, so that's exciting. I mean, even with COVID, I mean, what the community has done with the YMCA and the landing is phenomenal. You see what we were designing in terms of Aspirus and our medical community coming to the downtown. We also have some ambitions, community ambitions for what we call a sports district.
Okay.
That sports district is up towards our ballpark.
Yes.
And
Athletic Park neighborhood.
and that neighborhood, and some lead teams that are looking. Lead teams meaning our community teams, looking at what we can bring to our community in terms of some of the sports activities that go other places, that we can bring volumes of people to our community that are going to other communities now, like Appleton or Wisconsin Dells or Eau Claire. We want to bring that here. And so if we bring that here, that means we're adding to hotel room nights. It means people are walking, biking, whatever it is, up our river district. They're coming to our restaurants and shopping in our downtown. So any energy that we can provide from outside traffic, so will be a wonderful attribute to the downtown. So our downtown goes all the way from Athletic Park, and it goes all the way to Thomas Street, and the future has to be that we continue to invest as a community in that. And fortunately, we've had the leadership, and we've had some wonderful local support, foundation support. Without it, we aren't going to do it. It just does not happen. Just will not happen.
So it sounds like lots of projects going on, but all kind of within synergy of each other. And I really love that you touched on that economic driver. One of the main factors for people relocating to a city these days is they visit it, they fell in love with it,
Yeah.
and they're moving for a sense of placemaking. We talk about that all the time, and not so much moving for work anymore.
Yeah.
So that's going to
Yeah.
make us a competitor, especially in our market.
Yeah, right on. I mean, I mean that's the tone that we have to keep reminding ourselves of, and as we move through some difficulties in those goals, we have to stay focused on what that is, because you're absolutely right. I mean, somebody could come here to play a basketball game, and next thing you know, they see our community and they say, I think I want to live there. And by the way, I can live right here, right downtown.
Yep. I'm not, speaking for myself here, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you've been the same way when you travel to a new city
Yeah.
and you fall in love with it. What's the first thing you do? You go on Realtor or Zillow and start looking at some real estate right away. So we all know that works.
But at the same time, Blake, we can't forget about the people who are here now.
Exactly.
People who are in my generation, maybe a little bit below as well. But they want to find new locations here, and those folks do want to live downtown. The Riverfront District is, we'll have some condos starting there, which will be a great thing. But even within the apartment dwellings, of Block 4, there will be some nice views, some nice sights. There'll be dog walks. There'll be whatever you need. So it is really looking at new folks coming to town, but it's also really looking at serving our community and those folks who want to continue to live here. Hopefully they don't care to go to Florida in the wintertime. They care to stay here. They can go to the Landing. They have their medical support, okay? And they have youth around them. I mean, what better spot to live, than to be able to go to a coffee shop and experience the camaraderie-ship of a variety of generations. That's what we want.
That's the sense of community and the sense of belonging that we want to cultivate down here.
Amen.
Something for everyone in downtown Wausau.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Chuck.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on while we have you today?
Well, just that, this is a community effort, and, in a way, I don't know that people quite understand that. They sometimes look at what WAS is doing, and they say, well, why is WAS doing that? As if there's some financial advantage or something that WAS is looking at, and that has to be put to rest. I mean, WAS is a part of the chamber. I mean, Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership Foundation is what controls to some extent WAS, and you have WAS who will be investing somewhere around 6 million, 7 million, with no ambition for return financially, but all kinds of ambition for return for our community, and just as the YMCA and what that has meant. That's the same type of generosity and mindset that exists with Wausau Opportunity Zone, and so that's I can't say enough for Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership Plan. I think Jim McIntyre and his executive team and the broad range of people who are in that leadership role, supporting all of the community. We gotta keep that going.
We do.
Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership is about building our community, and either we're gonna sit flat and go backwards, or we're gonna go backwards. And so everybody has to put their shoulder into moving it forward. And there will be some naysayers along the way. There was every step of what we do in our downtown and what we do in our community.
Exactly.
And we need to just join arms, and move it forward, because it's all about moving our community forward. That's the whole theme of it. So, Greater Wausau Prosperity Partnership, can't say enough about that. The chamber in its advancement, it's gutsy, and they're moving forward. I think in terms of Wausau Opportunity Zone, their desire is to see all of this come together, and they'll be giving back to the community. I mean, the streets themselves probably will be valued at 2.5 million. That's going back to the community.
Yeah, for public use.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's all those things, that you don't get a chance to tell the story.
Well, and it's very, as we look at other Wisconsin Main Street communities, we are so privileged in Wausau to have a group like Wausau Opportunity Zone, to step in and reinvest and kind of help steer the direction for Wausau into the future to make sure we have a viable future.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we take that for granted here because we do have all these wonderful partners in the community. So, do just want to say that we are so appreciative for WAS and for reinvesting in the downtown here.
Yeah. And Blake, kind of the way that you put that, there's been a real effort on the part of Wausau Opportunity Zone to really capture what will move our community forward. I mean, they've hired and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with consultants and so forth, trying to get a window, a very, very good window as to what it is that makes a community move forward. And so this isn't about a small group of people trying to determine which way our community is going. It's a small group of people who are contributing financially and the energy with GWPP and WAS and the Chamber and you folks to just keep pressing on moving this community of ours in a very positive, focused direction that seems to have a really, really good opportunity to be successful. And so the rest of it aside, that's where we're headed.
Forging the future together.
Yeah, amen.
Well, thank you again, Chuck, for taking time out of your day and chatting with us.
All right, anytime, and if there's an opportunity to sit down with your entire group and take a few questions, I'd be more than happy to do that.
We'd love that.
All right.
Wonderful. And we will be back to you guys next week for News You Need. Take care.